Hi, I'm Michael McGrath, and welcome to number 2 video in our series concerning the Scout Victory Garden at Akridge Scout Reservation near Camden, Delaware. I'm not in the garden today because gardening really starts here at my dining room table, or your dining room table or kitchen table, or somewhere else in your house where you're going to start planting your garden. Now, earlier in the first video, I mentioned a notebook just like this one. Or perhaps it's a notebook like this, one of those diaries or journals that you've probably got laying around your house and you've been wondering, what do I do with this thing? Well, planning out your garden and keeping the records here would be a great idea on how to use that old, useless diary. You know, and I love checklists. In scouting, we use checklists a lot to make sure we don't miss anything. And I'm using a checklist today right in front of me to make sure we cover all the topics we need on planning your garden. Let's first talk about the layout of your 10 by 20 foot garden plot at the Scout Victory Garden. You might want to plant a perimeter fence or some kind of decoration, like maybe those old seashells that you brought back from a few vacations. You could outline your bed in those, or something that makes it personal. Or you might consider a deer fence. We'll be talking about how to repel the deer and rabbits that may predatorize your garden. So we want to make sure that you take care of those. We'll have ideas for that in a future video. Shade needs to be considered too as you lay out your garden. Tall plants not shading the lower plants. Most vegetables require full sun to produce at the best. An exception might be your row of lettuce in midsummer. But in any event, that old scout compass might come in handy too, so that you know where the sun's going to come up and where it'll be at high noon. And we need to draw a plan. In that notebook, you want to maybe make a map of your 10 by 20 foot plot. What will be the spacing of your rows? What's the width going to be of the beds that you plant in? You know, wide beds, rather than putting vegetables in single rows, can optimize and maximize your production from your small garden plot. So once you consider maybe a 3 foot wide bed and planting things thickly, like your radishes, your lettuce, spacing your tomatoes in 2 directions, might maximize the production from your small plot. And then you need to plan what you will grow. What does your family love to eat? I suggest getting everybody together that's going to share in the garden produce and finding out what their favorite vegetables are. Not much point in growing vegetables that nobody's going to eat. This is oftentimes a problem. But you may also want to explore new ideas of things to eat. Things that you haven't tried before, but that maybe members of the family think that could be interesting. You also need to consider where you'll be able to freeze or can or dehydrate your excess. And you might look to vegetables that are particularly adapted to preservation. Do you want to produce a specialty garden? For instance, it might be a tomato sauce garden. If your family could use a lot of sauces for spaghetti and pizza and to make your own burritos, well, you might want to consider growing certain varieties of tomatoes like the Italian paste types, some green peppers to accent your sauce, maybe some hot peppers if that's your preference in your family. You might want to also consider herbs that would enhance that sauce. So maybe you'll be growing basil or oregano. And how about a few onions to go into that sauce? You might want to produce a salad garden. If your family's big into salads, you could feature lettuce and radishes and arugula and spinach, kale. Also consider some of the things that go into that salad, like cherry tomatoes or sweet peppers. You might be thinking about an ethnic food garden. Maybe you're specializing in Hispanic dishes, or maybe you're looking to do Italian cooking. Those would all influence the choice of plants that are going to go into your plot. Maybe you want just a little bit of this and a little bit of that and just experiment with a few of different things. Or maybe you want to maximize the output, and then you want to consider what vegetables you can grow in large quantities and then preserve later. And how experienced are you as a vegetable gardener? Have you done this before? You might want to try some trickier or tougher things to grow in Delaware. If you're a beginner, strike out on just the easy things first would be my suggestion. Then you'll need to check out the seeds and plants that the Victory Garden will be making available. And then check online sources for seeds and especially any unusual types of vegetables that you've decided will be part of your garden. You can look in the description below to find some sources for catalogs and seeds. Then do a plan with your choices and make that map. You'll need to also lay out planting schedules on your choice of vegetables. And some are below in the description, but be careful, don't plant too early. Those late frosts or cold evenings can make it tough to get seeds to germinate or your plants to really take a hold. You'll need to plan on succession planting. What's that? Well, that's where you plant and then harvest and then plant right back in the same space again. Short-term vegetables, quick turnaround vegetables like radishes, some kinds of scallions or onions and lettuces are especially suited to succession plantings where you can plant several times in the same spot. And you can also then plant in stages a few weeks apart. I'll mention that. Base your plantings on your need. Don't plant everything at once. For example, people often surprise themselves when they plant 6 or 8 zucchini plants and then discover that their neighbors are not that interested in all the loaves of zucchini bread that you're baking. So instead of planting 6 plants all at once, you might consider planting 2 zucchini plants, waiting about 3 weeks, plant 2 more, wait another 3 weeks and plant 2 more. When the first couple are done harvesting, your second and thirds will start coming on in succession. And then you can go back and in where those 2 plants originally were, you can plant some other vegetables right behind them. This is often necessary with organic methods where oftentimes insects or diseases may shorten your harvest season. Can you store, freeze, dehydrate the excess? If not, you'll be careful to really only plant what you can use. But maybe you're going to be sharing with other families or with friends or with the community. Then your plan might be different. Acquire your seeds and plant on the schedule that you've set. That'll be your next step. Make a schedule to visit the garden and do the necessary work. Yes, you're going to have to be in there every week. My recommendation is consider being there twice a week on a schedule for at least a half hour each time. This is going to be the necessary method to take care of the weeds, to take care of insects and diseases. Nothing will reduce your garden output quicker than an unkept garden. Too many weeds rob your soil of nutrients and of necessary moisture. It shades small plants. You just want to take care of those weeds before they hardly can even be seen. And insects and diseases, you'll have to scout every week and take care of them using your organic methods. Oftentimes with insects, that simply means put everybody to work picking off the bugs and putting them in a can and killing them. It's that easy sometimes. Regular weeding is essential though. I want to come back to that because I think the biggest point of failure for many gardeners has been neglecting the garden and allowing the weeds to get ahead of them. So get out your notebook, get the family involved, and make a plan. I'll see you in the next video, and look below in the description for some more links that will help you plan your garden. Also, remember to like our video with a thumbs up and make sure that you're subscribed to our channel and ring that bell down there to make sure that you get notified. I'll see you in the next video. Bye and happy gardening.